Hi, welcome to today's episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat. I'm Karen Scott Green.
And I'm Kat Hardrick.
And we are joined today by David N. Mitchell. He's a producer, director, and he is the director of drama ministry for the AME Church in the 6th Episcopal District. And he's also the president and CEO of the Unity Production Group. David is a native of Chicago, Illinois. We won't hold that against him. He has extensive experience in the arts. He received a Bachelor's of Arts, Theater and Business from Grambling State University, where he won numerous national awards for acting, directing, and technical theater. And he is also a member of that Purple and Gold organization.
Uh-oh.
We're talking today because he's the founder of the Tipping Point Project. This is a program which he launched in Nashville, and it's received national recognition for being the most innovative municipal program in the country by the National League of Cities for its creative effectiveness in decreasing crime in communities and increasing academic performance for youth participants. This program was previously funded and supported by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Western District of North Carolina. It's presently in 2 cities, and he'll be launching in 3 additional cities. And the Tipping Point Project is a cultural and artistic program that directly meets the needs of rapidly changing society and youth in particular, that positively impacts their peers with knowledge on how to address and deal with modern day challenges such as drugs, crime, violence, and other negative behaviors. Thank you, David Mitchell, for joining us.
Thank you. This is studio welcome. Thank you for being on our love seat. Look, and I'm going to throw you some love from Chi-Town because I love the 50-yard line.
All right. Thanks so very much for having me. I'm so grateful for this opportunity to again share with you all my ministry, one that I feel anointed and appointed to do and have done for a number of years. The Tipping Point Project is an outgrowth of a number of different programs that I've done with regard to youth programs. There have been numerous studies that have been done to determine what is the problem with our youth, or why are the youth not engaged in active participation? And the reason and justification for that sort of varies from the standpoint of no proper leadership. There's no organization taking the initiative to give them any attention. The youth are sort of scattered at a certain time. And we all know that the peak of crime happens after school and summer months, when youth are idle, latchkey, they used to call them, where they're waiting for parents to get off work. So a lot of crime happens during those times. So this program started where we decided we've got to positively occupy the minds of youth during those peak crime time hours of after school and summer months. The initial program that I launched was in Charleston, South Carolina. And this was through the city's public housing authority and a number of other foundations. It was also a partnered program with the Junior League of Charleston, where you have women of a certain cultural identity going into the hood to literally work with youth. Quite creative. And a lot of good relationships came out of that. They were extremely consistent. They came with financial resources and volunteerism. They fed these youth that were residing in public housing units throughout Charleston. So we started with a number of youth that were there. And this program literally became an option for youth that were potentially introduced to the juvenile justice system, meaning that there was some minor infraction that they had. So instead of sending them to a detention center, they summoned them to, or they sentenced them, if you will, to Mr. Mitchell's drama program. And a lot of them came and screaming, not wanting to be a part of it. But I use that as a platform for these youth to be able to make a statement about the conditions of their community and how they are able to see success when some of the barriers are removed in their community. So I threw out, for an example, I threw out a sort of an adage that is most popular in modern culture that says 1 out of 5 Black boys will wind up in jail or dead. And so that kind of struck them quite dramatically initially when we talked about it. But then one of the young men said, well, what about the 4?
Right.
Talking about the 1 that's not going to make it. Let's talk about the 4 that are going to make it.
Yeah, that are
A
doing
baby
the right.
said that.
Absolutely. One of the young men. And this was the young man that was here again. He had a brother that was recently killed, drug deal gone bad. He was an extremely bright young man. He was a star athlete in the community, but then he began to get sucked into that world of, I call it low-level crimes and drug sales and things like that. And he was caught. So he came to my program kicking and screaming and became one of the leaders. But he said, well, what about the 4? It's about time we gave emphasis to the good that come out of our community instead of the bad. So they developed a very interesting plot and theme for that. And I have a clip of what came out of there. It was a multimedia dramatic production that was done in Charleston, South Carolina through the Public Housing Authority Theater Troupe, or as we affectionately called it, the Positive Horizons for Artistically Talented Teens. But we did this multimedia piece. And as a part of it, there were several scenes that were shot in the community, a number of individuals, Black men who were interviewed, and to talk about the plight of Black boys from a lot of perspective. Here you go.
There we go. I'm going to go ahead and play it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, boy, I just got shot. I don't know what's happening, but I don't know if anybody did.
This woman has just lost her son. He and some friends were walking home from school when the boys got caught in the middle of a gang war. Anthony Edwards was shot. Although all of this looks very real, it's not. It's just a play. One that organizers hope will send a message.
Murder and crime and violence has a very negative impact on the community and on families. And this is a good way of exposing that message.
Cast members are all inner city kids, so they know all about the hardships that go along with living in the projects. They say learning invaluable lessons.
So I learned that I should get my education and try not to get in trouble.
The play took one of the hardest tolls on Tanya Edwards, who plays Anthony's mother on and off the stage.
I'm still shaking on the inside. I'm nervous. I actually feel scared. It's a terrible feeling. I wouldn't wish that on no one.
One main message organizers want to get across has to do with turning around statistics. It said 1 in 5 African Americans will end up in jail on drugs or even dead. But the play's message is the other 4 will grow up to be very successful adults. In Charleston, Susan O'Sullivan, News 2 Sunrise.
That
wow. And young people put that together?
Yes, they did. And it was an interesting kind of plot. They kind of took it from a talk show where they had these men that were representing different segments of the community. There was a politician, there was a pastor, there was an educator, a college professor kind of guy, and then there was a rapper. And then there was a representative from the Nation of Islam, El Rahim, who all had their different perspective or their different sort of outlook on why Black boys are having so many problems. And it played out in such an eloquent way that was very popular in the community. We performed that. It was held over. Performed at all of the schools in the Charleston area. Those young men were stars for that time. But the ultimate is, for example, the young man that did the interview who was in the body bag, his name was Anthony Edwards. He eventually went on to Benedict College and he got his degree. And he's now an engineer for NASCAR in Concord, North Carolina. The young man, Clinton Harris, who was the one that was caught with drugs, he was an air traffic controller for the Navy. These are all young men. And there were countless other success stories of young men that came through the program who, by and large, kind of turned their life around or began to tip over onto the positive side of life. And that's some of the examples of these kinds of programs. So that was in Charleston circa mid-late 90s. And so I left Charleston and then went to Asheville, where I launched the Cultural Renaissance program. And that's where that program ran for 5 years in Asheville. And I'll never forget when I was hired as a superintendent of cultural arts for the city. And there was a very conservative council member who said, with the money that we're paying this arts guy, we could have hired 2 police officers. And then my response was, well, after I do my job, you'll need 4 fewer police officers, because if you positively occupy the minds of these young kids, then they won't be committing crimes. And that program, after its 3rd or 4th year, was recognized by the National League of Cities for being the most innovative in the country. And they had to fly me out to Reno, Nevada, and I received an award, and it became a model program where we need to be preventive in how we address what's going on with our youth instead of wanting to lock them up. Let's develop measures that can develop them culturally, educationally, and personally. And it certainly will have a greater impact on our community.
Congratulations on receiving the award and the work that you do and the positive impact you have on these beautiful minds. The other thing is, to your point, it bothers the stew out of me when people say we need more law enforcement. You're quick to spend money to increase it now, not to improve it. I mean, I must be stopped right there. And you don't put those resources into organizations like your own. I'll say that.
And Kat, to that end, so when you hire those 2 police officers, you now have to also hire more bodies to work at the jail.
That's right.
Whatever that, the jail and and whatever. And if there is some probation, that's part of that. There has to be probation officer. It's not just the police officer that you're hiring. It's all those people who are employed in the criminal justice system, in and around the criminal justice system, that now have to be employed because we're not doing the preventative work to keep people out of that system.
That's
when you
correct.
said that statement, I just want to say one thing, and maybe y'all can help me. Is there a breakdown of how much money it costs to hire officers? Because what you just said, Karen, you broke down some other elements that maybe myself and other viewers didn't think about. But is there a breakdown where we can look at how much it costs to police and put in prison versus Dr. Mitchell's program and others like it, and how that will keep people out of jail and becoming productive citizens and taxpayers, which is what we really, you know what I'm saying? Because that's valuable too, right? Because this is going to take tax dollars without any output. It's going to be more and more input, because some people are fighting to help help me with my SAT word.
Recidivism.
There you go. Yeah. So we need that. But is there a place where we can get those numbers and be able to say why we should fight for more of what you're doing, Dr. Mitchell? Can we? Is that something out there? Do any of you know, or how we go about getting it?
Yeah, there have been numerous studies that chart the economic impact or the cost per person to be incarcerated. And I certainly use that information. I'm also a certified grant specialist, and have written a number of grants to support these programs. All of these programs here again are supported by grants of some sort or contributions from some organization. But yes, there's a number of data that's available. The Pew Foundation is one that puts out a number of statistics that kind of help you to balance out the cost of incarceration versus the cost of what they call the after school programs. And we're leaning more towards getting those back. But here again, and as I mentioned before, it's all about resources. And I'll go back to your point, Karen, when the additional benefit that hasn't been equally measured. And as I mentioned, the young man that could have gone to jail is now a productive citizen with a family, and he's raising those kids well. And I think the
Right.
generational impact that it has on our culture is has yet to be measured. So the young man Anthony Edwards, like I said, he has kids now that are doing extremely well. So and I thank God for the opportunity to see the outgrowth of the work or the ministry happen in such a way. And it happens. And I'm just mentioning one or two. And I've been in several cities and have done this program in a number of cities. The present city I'm in now, I'm in the state of North Carolina now, and in the 5 cities where I've sort of been assigned, where the U.S. Department of Justice has determined as the most, I guess, at-risk cities, where there's a lot of what I call silly crimes. They're just shooting and shootings going on where it's because they have nothing to do. So when you implement these programs, you get them off the street. I've seen drug dealers with their long tees just waiting to come in with a loose leaf notebook and a pencil to put some rap lyrics down. The young man, Terry Letman, that worked with me, used to be the keyboard player for Cameo, was one of my main artists in Asheville. And some of the creative works that these young people were developing was astounding. And even more importantly, it was positive themed, which means that they were having a positive impact on their peers and the psyche of their peers, and helping them to be a little less destructive, of their community and of themselves based on decisions that they make. So that's the impact of the arts programs that I have been implementing.
Where are some of the cities that you worked in before that were very successful?
Okay, it started in Raleigh, North Carolina. When I got to Raleigh, I approached the president of St. Augustine's College, Dr. Prezell R. Robinson. They had a beautiful theater, but they didn't have a theater program. So I asked if I could start a program there. He said, yeah, but you're going to have to find your own money. So I wrote a grant to the City of Raleigh Arts Commission, asked for $20,000. They gave me $3,565. So I spent it all on the first show, which was a gospel musical involving all the community. They came in, it was supported, held it over, went on tour. After we finished, we had about $45,000 in the bank. So we were able to complete the season. So that means many corporations came on board, IBM, Blur's Welcome, Northern Telecom, a lot of the corporations in the triangle. But when people see you do good, they're going to want to support it. And they also have an opportunity to see how it impacts them and their employees and their community by positively involving the times of these youth. So so it's been a labor of love, if you will. So it started in Raleigh, and I've been in Charleston, South Carolina, Florence, South Carolina, Asheville, North Carolina, been in Durham, North Carolina as well. Most recently in January, I was in Hickory, North Carolina, and I have a show on Monday in Gastonia, North Carolina. And the name of that show is What You Gonna Do, which is just based on youth. And this is, here again, this is the show that they created. There's always a point where a teenager has a point where they make a decision. Are you going to do the right thing? Or are you going to do the wrong thing? Are you going to go left? Or are you going to go right? So they place a focus on that one moment where you have to make a decision. And we hope that you make the best decision that can have some lasting consequences on you, negatively and positively, and how that impacts your family, your community, your future, and all of that. So it's always creative to see, and we'll be doing more going into those other cities as well. So there is a proposal on the board to launch this program right here in Gwinnett and DeKalb counties.
Okay.
We kind of wanted the atmosphere of politics to kind of slide on past us. Now that now that we know who's who and what's what, and who's leading the charge for the programmatic menu here in our town, particularly for youth. Now it's time to move forward, and I just hope that we can get some support in that regard.
I would love to see some of these programs in some of the metro counties, because youth programs are so needed. And as someone who has worked with youth in the juvenile court system, if we can get them before they get over to the adult system, that is always better than letting them go over there to on University Parkway. Over to right over
Absolutely.
Where they're under the care and control of Kibo Taylor. Kibo Taylor's a lovely man. However, we want there to be less bodies in his jail more than more.
Absolutely.
It's actually some colleges on University Highway that you can be in versus the
There
prison.
you go. You
That's
could be
true.
on one end of University Parkway, and you could
That's
be on
right.
the other.
One end or the other. That's right.
This is true.
You
This
know,
is
I
true.
love the fact that these young people that you're working with actually came up with the point of, in my I like to phrase it, the point of no return. And these young people, because how many of us as parents or mentors or whatever actually say, listen, the consequences around the choices you're about to make, man, you may not be able to recover from. You may end up dead or in jail for the rest of your life.
That's
so
true.
These young people are able to say, look, you either could take the blue pill or the red pill, you know, which side of the fork of the road are you going to go in, because the consequences of your decision. And so for these young people to identify that that moment is life-changing. And either way you go, you're either going to be on the right trajectory for positivity or a negative trajectory. And
Absolutely.
I think that is key for me for change, to be open up to say, whoa, I got to be careful with who I surround myself with, the places that I go, because I know that's going to influence my outcome. So did you help the young people get to that point through your program? Or
Well, we start with the discussion. And we do involve various leaders in the community, psychologists who are able to kind of help them talk through some of the issues that they face. We have law enforcement officers also that are able to have conversations with them. It all starts with a conversation, and we too often underestimate what these young people are thinking and how they're feeling. And just like if we see them, if their leg is bleeding and we don't tend to that, it can cause a problem. The same thing is happening with their minds and what they're thinking, what they're being exposed to. You know, I certainly do appreciate the wide and expansive menu of things that they can focus on these days. Social media has opened up so much, almost too much, to a fault. But if we're not guiding that, and I say we, us grown folks, you know, we the old people now, where we've got to kind of take the lead in providing the resources for this. Now, I mentioned earlier that the program was funded by the Junior League of Charleston. Get that. Now, understand what the face of the Junior League is from a cultural perspective.
Yes, historically, it has not been us. We're joining now, but historically, it has not been Black women. And there was a time when we were excluded. And so the fact that these women who don't necessarily look like the children that they are assisting,
advocating for,
are coming in and giving their time, their talent, and their resources, you know, I'm all for it. If you're gonna help kids and you got the right, you know, you got the right attitude when you're coming in to work with them, I'm down for it.
I don't care. They can be as colorful as your beautiful blouse, baby. I want you to do it, honey. You hear me? I want you to do it, because any child can receive love from anybody. You know?
So that's sort of an invitation to our churches, our civic and social organizations, our Divine Nines, our 100 Black Men, our Links, our neighborhood associations, all of these organizations that speak highly about a focus on community, and sometimes need to be aggressive in how they identify who the community is. And that community is definitely our youth.
Absolutely. So, David, let me ask you more about the program. You work with these young people for what, 10 weeks, is it?
Well, it depends upon the level of finances that we have. Of course, when you pay artists, you've got to divide the number of kids versus the artists versus the discipline. So it ranges. I've done programs in a weekend. You know, you give me 2 days, they can develop a show. I have a system that's called structured improvisation, where they literally speak out, or they pretend, or they role play, And then that's how we develop a script. That script is then recorded, then transcribed, and then it becomes an actual script. And that in many instances could be done in a workshop format. And it could be done in a matter of hours. And I certainly have done productions over the course of 8 weeks. And those are a lot more involved when it does, say, for instance, What About the Four was a huge production that involved multimedia and recording of different persons out in the community. So it takes a lot of time. So it's customized based on the amount of resources that we have or have available.
Okay. What do you want to bring to Gwinnett? Do you want to bring this multi-week type of a camp to Gwinnett County?
Right. Say, for instance, on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, every week for an hour and a half. You don't want to keep them too long. They've been in school all day and they bored, they tired, and they all that. So you just keep them for a little bit. And if that runs for a number of weeks, and then you have a full production. It's curriculum based. It certainly does enhance their educational opportunities. And I think we also proved in the program that while it decreased the crimes that were reported or calls in different communities, some 40%, it increased their grades exponentially 2 grade levels, because it's a requirement to have a certain grade level to be in the program. So they're helping each other study. We know we got a show in 2 weeks, girl. You better pass this test. Let's go work on it. So
that's right.
I saw a lot of that going on, the camaraderie that was happening, and for them to understand the true meaning of community in terms of pulling each other up. They kind of learn the process as well. But if there was an after school program for a number of weeks, I'll say 4 to 6 weeks after the end of that, you have a production where the community comes in and gets a chance to see them and to give them what they need, which is an applause. Our kids, our kids are starving for appreciation.
Yeah.
A lot of them are missing just to be felt like, wow, you did good. And it's never a negative that comes out of that kind of an exchange. The youth automatically feels better about themselves and then begins to pursue other things that they can be proud of or people can applaud them for. So that's what we're missing, and that's what this program is all about.
Because everyone wants to know that they've done a good job, that their work was well received, regardless if they're young or if they're old. An attaboy goes
a long way.
Miles. Yes.
That's why I fooled with her. She all up in here. I was just about to say an attaboy will get it going.
Boy. We starved attaboys.
I got bum rushed the other day with some kids. Hey, where's this kid? I called Karen. She was like, girl, what do you want? I was like, I'm saying body, because my sister is a practicing attorney, okay? I remind y'all, my sister worked hard for the people.
Like a real job, huh?
Yeah, she got a real job. And I'm like, sis, come on. And of course, when I said who it was, she was like, girl, let me speak to them babies. So, we all about supporting these young kids. And that's all they want, is just somebody to, because now they got somebody watching them. They got somebody that values them and know that the sky, you can go beyond that, reach for the moon. You can do it. And when they know that, they just like, okay, this is what not only are we are the extension of families. Right.
Absolutely.
And this is a village. And in our community, where people think that we're so broken and so forth, and there are systemic oppressive measures that exist, there are those people like us that believe in God and believe in the tools that God has provided in us, our time, our talent, and resources, that we reach back out. Yeah, while we trying to go forward, we doing this like in track with the baton passed back, baby. We bring the next generation forward. And like you said, you have a testimony. You have
we got to get to the finish line.
You worked with them, and now they have their own families and stuff. I would love. I know we're doing an aviation, whatever you call it, series, and would love to talk to your air traffic control and stuff. So hey, reach out and let us know, because we want to let people know about that fantastic career and being an engineer and all the other good stuff. So that's a plug for that. And before I say anything else, make sure y'all remember to subscribe to Conversations with Karen and Kat on our YouTube channel. And I'll also let Mr. Mitchell go ahead and mention his plug, so we'll know how to get in contact with you. How can people donate, volunteer, and follow you to see where your next project? Because you don't just work in the state of North Carolina, do you? Or you just, I know you said you're, of course, expanding to Gwinnett, but are there other places that you worked prior to North Carolina?
Yes, I serve as the Connection Director of Drama Ministry for the AME Church, and my battery's about to die. I'm so sorry. I hope I don't get out like right quick. But no, I travel around the country to do liturgical dramas as well. So it's quite a busy time for me. And please email me, and we will be getting more information out about upcoming productions that we have. My next quest, I just did a show in Memphis as well for St. Andrew's AME Church, and I've also been down to Jacksonville, Florida. So, and I'm going to Chicago, Illinois on the weekend of the 28th and the 30th. And then after that, I'll be going to Cassopolis, Michigan for a week at Camp Baber, which is the AME Retreat Center for the Michigan Fine Arts Institute. Just having a lot of fun, being creative, and using God's gift. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity. Thank you all for the opportunity to talk about it.
Yeah, we
tell
love
everybody your email and your website and stuff.
dnm.unityproductions@gmail.com. Please email me, dnm.unityproductions@gmail.com. Thank you so very much. God bless everyone.
Your website?
Website is unityproductiongroup.com. And it is inactive right now because we're expanding. I had to add some more stuff. They told me to take it down since I'm dealing with the government. So I had to change some things. But no, it'll be back up. But just contact me via the email, and I would love to partner with any organization and group. You'll be hearing more.
And again, that's dnm.unityproductions@gmail.com. And that's David N. Mitchell, who is the director of drama ministry at AME Church.
Yeah, there you go.
And he's the president and CEO of the Unity Production Group. David, thank you so much. I've been wanting to have you on for a while. This was the right time.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I'd love to come back on. I've got some more things to share with the group.
Yes.
And it's about connecting with organizations and empowering them to be more supportive of programs similar to mine. Thank you so very much for you all's ministry.
When you have your next thing that you're doing, just text me and we'll bring you back on.
All right. Appreciate it. Thanks so much. All right. Appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll stick around. Thank you.
All right. You all take care.
Thank you for joining us. Go ahead, Kat. What do you want to say?
I love it. And make sure you have one of your children, one of your students with you when you come back on our love seat.
I'll do
David,
that.
you know, we did not ask you, and Kat always asks this question
I was going to ask.
Go ahead. I'm not going to take it from you. Go ahead.
No, I want you because I didn't want to rush you. He only got like a few seconds. What's your mental health routine to keep yourself balanced? Mental health is very important, and we like to share with all of our listeners what are tips and tools that they can possibly use. So what is your mental wellness go-to to help you have a great work-life balance and quality of life?
I have a mental health counselor that's actually free. All I have to do is close my eyes and talk to him. He gives me everything I need. He tells me it's going to be all right. He said, man, chill out. It ain't time for that yet. Why you stressing? I got this. Any problems I have, he takes care of it. People that mess with me, he gets them out of the way. He keeps me free from danger. He sends these folks he calls angels and sits them in the front and back of my car as I'm driving up and down the highway. He just keeps me from danger. My mental health is God. And I tell you, he sends me an invoice every time I need something. And all I have to do is pray, be obedient. I tithe. I'm scared to not tithe because he just might repossess his blessings. But no, that's my mental health, honestly. It's just connecting with God and family. And I have a very supportive wife, and Monet Mitchell, who's also an artist, a dancer, and my children keep me lifted. She supports my travel, and I just thank God for her. She is literally the strength that that allows me to soar.
Yes,
she's a beautiful dancer.
So beautiful
ministry at our church.
Oh, get out of here! Yeah, that is totally nice, girl. So
Yes, that was beautiful. And thank you, David, for joining us. And as always, thank you for joining us on this episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat.
Well, we are impacting the world one conversation at a time.